It's true, bamboo bedding is dreamy to sleep on. That's why Quince aptly named their Bamboo Dream Quilt Set. Coming in 12 colors, you're absolutely going to love this quilt and 2 shams set. Starting at the softest of pinks and going all the way to a dark navy. It's going to be perfect for anyone's room. Your own, your guest rooms, your kids' rooms, maybe even back to the dorm bedding. Quince has everything you need to elevate your space, from bedding to soft organic towels, airy curtains, and premium kitchen tools designed for everyday use. And of course, as you know, Quince has gorgeous cashmere and other wardrobe essentials. And the best part, Quince's products are half the cost of similar brands. They partner with top artisans and cut out the cost of the middleman, passing the savings on to us. Thank you, Quince. And they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, so you can feel good about your purchases from Quince. Elevate your space with home essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT.
Hi, I'm Anita Joyce here with Kelly Wellness, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. Today we're talking about how to design a cohesive home. And we're excited to talk about the topic, but Kelly has an update from Pasadena, California today.
Well, we're recording this and the fires are still a threat here in Los Angeles and Southern California. And I wanted to thank everyone who has reached out to me, listeners of the show, friends, family, clients, but particularly here in this venue, the listeners of Decorating Tips and Tricks. Your messages and your emails have meant so much. We are safe. Maybe you've seen this already on my Instagram. I wanted to let everyone know that we are safe and our wooden 1886 house is intact. The winds were terrifying here on Tuesday night, but the skilled and incredibly brave firefighters were able to keep the fires from spreading to our side of Pasadena. So my heart is just so heavy with the grief for a lot of friends and clients who have lost their homes, both in Altadena and in the Palisades. Altadena is the community next to Pasadena. And so we just know a lot of people up there. We shop up there. It's a regular spot that I go to. One little bit of good news out of there is you may have heard me talk about that gorgeous green kitchen that I designed with a client of mine. Well, that house is still standing. Several on her block are not, but it is still there. And that's so wonderful. So there are some shining bright lights in all of this. And the other shining bright light is how the community has come together here. It's completely almost as overwhelming as what's happening to see the people coming out and donating and helping each other and risking sometimes their health, either just being out in the air to help somebody else. And I know that's going to continue. Being DTT listeners and people who love design and love their home, we all know that home is so much more than just a place filled with things. It's a sanctuary, it's your comfort, and it's the container for all the things we hold dear, whether tangible or intangible. And yeah, houses can be rebuilt, but it's going to take time to create homes. The outpouring of care and love and support is holding a place for home for many Angelenos right now. And that really is beautiful to witness, trying to see some good in all of this devastation. So if you want to help, there are so many places that are asking for help, and I understand that that's overwhelming and also can be a little scary because you don't know. Even though your heart is open to doing something, you want to make sure that you are donating to worthy and legitimate places. So 2 places that I can personally recommend, and this is, not a call for anyone to do anything, but if you're thinking about it, the Pasadena Humane Society, I volunteer there regularly. They really need monetary support now. The in-kind donations have been overwhelming there. It's been amazing. I was there helping the other day, sorting through the piles and piles and piles of food and dog and pet gear that were coming in for the people who have been evacuated or can't take care of their pets right now. They're also taking in all the pets of evacuees and treating all animals who are suffering burn damages. So if you want to donate to them in a monetary way, that would be great. PasadenaHumane.org is where you can do that. And I'm going to be volunteering later on today with a project that a local interior designer has put together. It's called the Soft Landing Project. And we'll have the link in the show notes where you can donate there, either monetarily, or if you're local, you can donate goods in kind. The idea there is for the design community to come together, and we're going to have a big warehouse filled with everything from sofas to mattresses to bedding to lamps, art, because a lot of people are obviously not going to be able to go back to their homes. Their homes may not be there, and they're renting places that are empty and they have nothing. So the design community is coming together, and we're going to try to provide for free the things that people would need to make a new temporary home. So both the links will be in the show notes. And again, just want to thank you all so much for caring, and LA is going to get through this.
We've had so many wonderful people reach out, checking on you, Kelly, and checking on the area. So I just love it when our community cares, and they are a very caring group of people. So thank you for your concern and your love for Kelly and for, all those people that were affected by this horrible tragedy.
So the show must go on.
I know. I'm thinking, I don't know.
Anyone that can grab a little normalcy. I mean, I feel I'm so grateful and I'm so fortunate and so lucky. And I feel, every time I look around my house, I can't believe it's still here. And so many other people don't have that. But we're all looking for a little bit of normalcy, sure. Even for the people who have lost everything. So let's do it, Anita.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about designing a cohesive home today. And I thought before we got started on how to do it, we might talk a little bit about why you would want to do it first. So one thing that's helpful is if your house feels cohesive, it has a calming effect on your central nervous system, believe it or not.
No, that would be very good. Yes.
Right. Well, that's helpful now. So, because your home, it can cause you anxiety or it can have a calming effect on you. And that's something that I don't even think people realize that it does impact them. If it's jarring from one room to another, if the house doesn't make sense, then some part of your central nervous system is not going to like it, even if you don't even notice it. So that's one thing to think about, is that there is a calming effect on your body if it's kind of makes logical sense, that it works together. So that's one reason you might want to do it. The other is if you like moving things around, if you get bored easily, it's very helpful then if you want to move something from one room to another room. It works so much better if they are cohesive and they play well together, because if it's very different, then if you have a table or a chair in one room, you won't ever be able to move it to another room without it looking weird. And I think of a case where maybe a couple gets married later in life, they have very established homes, they have a very distinct style, then they try to come together. Well, that's kind of a situation where they're going to have to choose one style or the other, or maybe they just say, no one budges, it all goes in, and that can be a real problem if the styles aren't complementary. So that could be a real issue. So that's something to think about.
Those are two really good points. That's a goal for myself, and also a goal that I really try to emphasize for all my clients. I mean, sometimes I walk into a home and it's a new client and my shoulders just go up I think, oh my God, like there's just maybe too much stuff, or just nothing is even just positioned correctly, or just the colors are not working together, or just oftentimes it's just that there's too many things and you can't achieve a cohesive feel when you're just you have too many colors, too many things, too many items. And it's really okay if they're different, but as you pointed out, they have to play well together. Yes. So that is really, I mean, I think that would be my top reason for wanting to create a cohesive home. And it is very calming. And there's something about when your eye can sort of connect the dots throughout a space, and it makes sense. So it's this kind of visceral reaction to your surroundings. And we want a really good reaction to your surroundings when it's your own home. You want to be able to walk through the door and your shoulders come down and you can and settle in. So that is something that should be top priority. So this isn't all about the pretties and, get this lamp and throw in this pillow. There's a really good reason why you want to be doing that. And I love that you pointed that out at the outset here. So I think of cohesive as right up there with intentional, balanced, and curated. It's one of the very important goals of interior design. And as we both alluded to, cohesive doesn't mean you have to have one style. As we've talked to you about so many times over the years, you do want to mix some styles, but as Anita rightly pointed out, they have to be able to work together. If you've because you mentioned like an older couple coming together, maybe, later marriage or second marriage or something. So like, the Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette get together and one is log cabin style and the other one is Danish. Yeah, that might not jive. So somebody's going to have to give, or maybe you kind of find a neutral style and go that way.
Well, and the other thing about the cohesive style too is when you move, we just moved, and a different house means furniture is going to work in different rooms. So you don't pull, or I didn't pull everything from this room. This bedroom is going to go in a new bedroom exactly the way it was in the old bedroom. There's different layouts, different places where some piece of furniture might work best in a different place. So it worked very well when we moved because everything worked together. And even though I combined it in a different way, it still was a nice flow throughout the house. So that's something else to think about.
Oh, yeah. And you're doing a great job. So everybody should be tuning into what you're doing in your new home and how you're incorporating, especially if they were readers of your blog or listeners to DTT and they follow you on Instagram. They know what your other houses look like. I mean, it is slightly weird that you and I, and then by extension, a lot of the other people that we blogged with, like we know the insides of their homes so well.
Exactly. I know.
Like, oh, she moved and she put that pillow somewhere else.
Well, isn't that funny? But also knowing that many people that have pictures of their homes online, and now it's not blogs, but Instagram and Pinterest and everything. But how many times have you or I opened a magazine and we didn't read it? We just knew that's Courtney's house or that's so-and-so's house. You could just tell by looking at it. And that was kind of the fun thing of all of that. The fun part was seeing other friends' homes in magazines and seeing their books come out. It was a very fun part of it. Well, still is.
I had that fun so often because your home was in so many magazines.
So yours was as well. So.
Well, yes, but I mean, you hit those numbers, girl. You were in a lot of places. But, that is something that maybe we're not talking about today, but the fact that you could identify somebody's home without even reading the article really says a lot about the style that they have curated. They didn't adopt somebody else's style. They're not all threshold by Target. They are themselves. They have their own style. So developing your own style is not what we're talking about today. We're talking about being cohesive. But in being cohesive, you do want to work on your own look and your own style and have that very much be a hallmark of what you're doing throughout your home. So I have some tips specifically about how to achieve a cohesive home. Are we ready to kind of dive into some details?
Yes.
Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. So have you tried dupe yet? If you haven't, come on. Dupe.com. It is going to be your new shopping best friend. And it's not just for furniture. I know I've shared with you about my coffee table dupe, but you can save money with Dupe on fashion, shoes, jewelry, and more. I just used Dupe to find an absolute perfect twin of this t-shirt that I wanted. It was an $80 t-shirt. I was not going to pay $80 for a t-shirt. Dupe helped me find the twin, like maybe the exact same shirt. Find something you love, and then you can find replicas, twins, and maybe the exact thing for so much less. Give Dupe a try today. It is really so easy to use. You just type dupe.com / before any product URL in your browser, and voila, it instantly finds you less expensive alternatives. They even have an app and a browser extension you can download. No account is required. No sign up is required. It is completely free. I know, can you believe it? But it is completely free to use. Stop wasting money on brand names and start saving with Dupe.com today. So this is kind of an overall tip, kind of in line with what I just said, which I hadn't really planned to say. But this is making sense right now. You want to create a visual story. So you want to think about first, what story do you want to be telling? And then tell that story, your story, through the pieces and the positioning, the palette, everything, every aspect has to support that story. And I don't mean make up a story like, oh, I'm a boho artist, but you're not.
I live in Tuscany.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making me laugh.
But really,
Tuscany
in the suburbs.
always makes us laugh for some reason. Yes, exactly. You don't want to create a story that isn't your own. So that's along with developing your style. You want to create a story that's reflective of you and your family. Your story will change, just like you change and grow, and like your wardrobe changes, your style will change. And you're going to want to tweak it over the days, the years, the decades for sure. But you do want to come up with some story that you're telling. But it's going to be kind of a true story. It's nonfiction.
Well, I had the same thought here, and I actually called it have a whole house narrative. So it's exactly what you said, kind of like a master plan for your house. It's not really the specific decorating style that you're using that I'm talking about, but kind of an overall plan. And I didn't want to use the word theme because I think of themes as my house has a golf theme, or I love zebras. So I have a zebra in every room. There's little zebra figurines and zebra sheets and zebra pillows. That's not what we're talking about. And don't do that.
Don't do that. 100% don't do that. The zebras. No.
Right. So I definitely had that thought. And the next thing I would talk about is, which I think kind of flows into that, is to the design style. And you said it rightly, you don't have to have the same decorating style throughout. I mean, you can mix things, but have it work together, have it play well together. I have a decidedly French style to my home, but I'm really wanting to add a lot more English country elements to my home. But those work so well together. It's just like they were just made to go together. I mean, the countries may have fought a lot over the years, but the furniture and the decor does actually work well together. So think about that, because it's like you said, you don't want mid-century modern in one room and then country English in the other room and then Scandi in another room. It's just not going to feel right. And I just don't think you want to do that. It's not going to be a good look.
The limited color palette. We love this tip for so many reasons, but it really plays into creating a cohesive home. If you've got too many colors, or if you've got different colors in every room, it's similar to having different styles in every room. It's not relaxing. It is confusing. It's just too much stimulation. So we recommend usually about 3 colors. You can play around with the neutrals. There can be a couple of different shades, tones, hues of neutrals. Neutrals can also be brought in textures. And I'm not necessarily just talking about pink colors. I'm talking about all the aspects of the home. You want to kind of limit it to these 3 maybe 4 colors throughout, and then use them to differing degrees in each room. So say you wanted to really saturate a study or an office, maybe you do paint the walls a really dark color, and then you're going to use your other colors to maybe, so that's kind of your 60%. Then you're going to add 30% of another color, and then a little 10% pop. I'm working with a new couple. They're so lovely. They just bought their first house, and I am working with them to develop kind of the scheme for the whole look. And we're going to go, as budget allows, room by room. But we're doing this. We're creating the story, the narrative. They each like similar things, but they kind of each have their own ideas of, what's their favorite. One is more mid-century. The other one kind of likes this Parisian apartment thing. But those two really work well together because you can have the more modern, clean-ish mid-century lines with a gilded mirror or something like that. So we're going to be able to make it work for sure. And we came up with our color palette the other day. It's beautiful. It's sort of this chalky type darker blue and ochre, and this color that they picked it first as a paint color, and it's called olive tone. It's not really olive. It looks more like an avocado-y real green, but the 3 colors are fantastic together with lots of neutrals in the rest of the space. So it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I was explaining to them just what I'm talking about today. We're going to use these colors to differing degrees throughout the home. Some room might be predominantly neutral, and maybe it's just going to have little pops of these colors, but you're going to see it somewhere. So then your eyes can connect the dots with the color, whether you're pulling it off a wall, your eyes seeing it on a wall, or your eyes seeing it on a pillow or on a sofa. It just is really satisfying, and you can Google why that is, but I'm telling you, it's true. It's scientific. There is a calming effect when you see this repetition throughout the home, and you can easily do that with color. You can also do it with objects, but that's a little bit harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I 100% agree with you. Not only does the style need to be pretty consistent throughout the house, but you are so right. The color is incredibly important. And it doesn't, like you said, have to be exactly the same in every room. You don't have to have your entire house be blue or be green or whatever color, but you want to use it in a repetitive fashion throughout your home, whatever the 3 main colors are that you're using. So I think that is one of the key things to do in your home. And another thing that we did is to keep the flooring consistent throughout the house. And I think that's important. The last house that we designed, it was all reclaimed hardwood flooring. It was oak throughout the house. And I mean, really, those were the prettiest floors I've ever had in my house. But the whole house had that flooring except for the bathrooms and the laundry room. And in this house, it's a farmhouse. It's out in the countryside in Texas. We have pine floors throughout the house, except for, I think, one bathroom that was an add-on. It has tile. But I think that's a nice look. Now, I know where I am in Texas, it's very different than some of the northern climes. I think there people like to have the wall-to-wall carpet in their bedrooms. So I know it's very different there. But, here when it's hot most of the time, we kind of like our hardwood floors, or at least wood floors.
I 100% agree. I didn't even have that on my list. Flooring is so key. It makes such a difference not to have it broken up with different looks. If you have a 2-story house and you want to do some carpeting or maybe even something different upstairs, okay, that's fine. But if you can, at least the first floor of your home, where more of the common rooms would be, see if you can go for a consistent flooring. It will make such a difference visually, particularly if you have a home that is at all open concept. Anita and I see oftentimes, I'm sure in real life, but in the consult as well, that even when people have open concepts, for whatever reason, the builder, the prior owner, sort of carved out oh, the kitchen's going to have tile. And then there's this kind of weird, awkward transition. And lots of times that's what the client wants to talk about. How do I change this? What's the expense going to be? And it is going to be fairly expensive to change your flooring. But if you have an area, say your kitchen, in an open concept type of situation, or even if it's not open concept, if you can see it, there's an open doorway or something like that, maybe you can have it where you stick with the flooring that's in the majority of the area, if you like it, and then have the other then designed to match. And if you get a good flooring person, they can usually feather it in. So I'm kind of thinking if you had wood in one area, and then they might be able to feather and transition it in to the other area. And even if it's slightly off, the lighting is different in different rooms and even different areas, you might be able to get away with it even if it's not spot on. But that would be something I would look into, rather than doing smaller things, which are still going to add up and cost a lot of money. If this is a home that you think you're going to be in for a period of time and you want to create this cohesive look, I would really look into the flooring, at least get some estimates and see what that would cost you, because that will make a tremendous difference. Group your collection. So this is an easy one. Create zones. Collection need not mean clutter. Your collection should be intentional and curated, 2 words I used earlier, and add to the cohesive feel. So something that I collect that I have all over my home is ironstone in various shapes and forms. So it's that white to creamy to even sometimes a little bit beigey looking ceramic ware. It's usually heavy in your hand. There are certain hallmarks of it if it's the real deal, but between me and you, I have mixed in some things that are maybe from Home Goods with the real deal, to augment, because sometimes you just see a little picture and the shape is just so great you can't resist it, even if it's not, from the 1800s. So I have a lot of this throughout my house, but I have sort of grouped it where it doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel cluttered. But again, like the connecting the dots with the color, you kind of connect the dots. So I do have a line of pictures, small to medium ones, running over the top of the glass doors in my kitchen. So they're white, the wall's white. It's kind of subtle, but obviously you see them that they're there. And then on the counter, I have a collection in a tray of larger pictures where I keep chargers and batteries and things like that. Then in the dining room, I have another couple of really good old antique pictures, or a tureen also. And then in the living room, I might use one of these pictures for flowers on the coffee table. So I'm repeating it throughout. It really adds to the cohesive feel. If I collected a lot of different things, it might not be as cohesive, but if you like a lot of different things and you have some different collections, I would suggest at least grouping the same things together. Don't have 25 of them together. That's overwhelming, but maybe 5, 7, an odd number, depending on the size of them, maybe even 3 if they're in the larger size of whatever it is, and see how that feels. And that's easy to do. Certainly a lot easier than changing your flooring.
Oh, so true. Another thing to think about are similar window treatments throughout the house. And I'm not really talking about curtains, because I think you can have completely different curtains in every room, and I think it would be boring to have the same curtains throughout. However, if, for example, you like bamboo shades, I personally love bamboo shades. So I have I have in this house 2 types of bamboo shades that I'm using throughout the house. My preference would be to have one, but we reuse them from a previous home, so we have 2 different kinds here. But I love having that consistency throughout the house, and I think that's something to think about, rather than, because I've seen some where one it's roller shades, and the other one it's Roman shades, and another one it's Venetian blinds, and another, it's just, that to me feels chopped up.
That's a good one. This is one of those days where I'm like, wow, I didn't even consider those things she's talking about. But wow, I know my mind is not really working
you're
as well as it
distracted.
normally does right now. But I love the two main things that you brought up that I didn't even consider, the flooring and the window treatments. That makes such a big difference. And also, not that you have to worry too much about, what your neighbors think, but it's not really about them. It's what you think too, from the outside of your house. So if you've got curtains or different window treatments in each window, particularly any that are front facing, and you've got, purple ones in this bedroom, and you've got floral ones in the living room, and they're not lined.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, then you're getting this whole hodgepodge when they're closed or if they're at all overlapping the glass. So that's something to consider too. So I love the way I also have the passion for the natural woven. So that is a lovely way to go. And even if they're slightly different, they're still going to be giving off that same vibe inside and out.
Right. What about the same hardware throughout the house? Now, you don't necessarily have to have the same pulls in the bathrooms as you do in the kitchen, but maybe have it something that kind of makes sense, that if that was in the same room, it would look okay together. And even your door hardware. And I'm thinking too about maybe choosing like brushed nickel, brass, chrome, whatever you choose. Try to be consistent throughout the house. We're going to be changing some things over, so we may have a little bit of both for a while. And actually, this house has mostly, I think I said when I moved in, everything's oil rub bronze, except in a few places. They had some gold fixtures and some, well, I guess that was the only thing they did. But, I'm trying to move away from that. But I will say this, they get points for the consistency of the oil rub bronze throughout the house. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not your favorite, but they stuck with it, and that is being cohesive. So that's
true.
Good, right? And then as you're working on it, you'll change it over. But to your point, they don't have to match, but you don't want to have Art Deco poles in your kitchen and then colonial things happening in your dining room. Like that's just not going to work together. That's another one of those. That's log cabin and a Danish modern, and that's just not going to work. So and that's an easy fix too. Maybe not so much the doorknobs and whatnot, but cabinet hardware. Isn't it crazy how well you can do on Amazon and places like that? With packs of this nice hardware, it's metal most of the time. You don't have to go to Restoration Hardware or any place even close to that and spend a lot of money on poles. I just don't think certainly not where I'd want to put my money. I'd put it in the flooring based on what we were talking about today.
True.
Well, I think we covered a lot of great points about creating a cohesive home today. Do you have anything else?
Well, I think the only other thing I had was to try to keep the spaces balanced, and that helps that cohesiveness so that all the heavy furniture isn't on one room and the small pieces in another, or all the heavy furniture is in one, not only on one side of one room, but maybe in just one room. Again, just try to have a balance and a feeling of sameness to some extent throughout the house. So I think we're talking about just the same style, and just try to be consistent. I think that's the overarching theme.
Well, you know what's coming up at the end of the week?
Yes.
It's our birthday.
I know.
So I wanted to say happy birthday to you on air. I'm sure we'll be either calling or texting on that day. And if you don't know, Anita and I have the same birthday. We didn't know that when we first met.
No.
We didn't plan all this based on that. January 17th is our birthday. If you want to give us a birthday present, you know what we would love? We would love a really nice review on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Helps the show so much. We recently had a very nice one. I would say this was sort of a Christmas gift. This is from T.SH, capital ROST. The review is Love These Women, 5 stars. This is the first decorating podcast that I started listening to, and it's still my favorite. Lots of great opinions and advice. Thank you so much. And I wish I could pronounce your handle correctly. But if you're hearing this, we are loving you too. We really appreciate it. So if you want to do what this fabulous longtime listener has done, head to Apple Podcasts and leave your review for decorating tips and tricks there. We will really appreciate it. We'll read it out loud as a birthday present to ourselves next time we get together. So that would be great. Maybe you could get it in by Friday. So when we open our podcast apps on Friday morning, it's like opening a present. That would be awesome.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Kelly.
Same
I hope you have
Nita Jean.
a wonderful day. I know it's going to be a very subdued celebration for you with so much going on. I hope you still have something with your family that is meaningful for you.
Oh, thank you. Something low-key at home would be great.
Oh, well, I have to tell you what I'm doing. One of the things I'm doing for my birthday is I found a dairy farm nearby that sells raw milk. So I am going to go get some raw milk, and Evie and I are going to make some paleo scones from my cookbook that she gave me for Christmas. And with this raw milk, I'm going to make, I know it sounds gross, but if you're English, you'll know it's a delicious thing, clotted cream.
Oh, yes. No, it does sound kind of gross, but it is great.
I know it sounds awful, but it is the most delicious thing, and you put it on your scones. And so we're going to make those this weekend.
With a little lemon curd, which also kind of sounds gross, but it's delicious on your scone as well. Well,
yeah, that's a good point.
This is funny because we were talking about, just the last time, and I said to all of you, I was going to run out to Trader Joe's and buy all these white flowers. Well, guess what? That never happened. And you were bemoaning missing your Trader Joe's,
yes,
and then I joked to you that you had to get a cow. I thought you were going to say, Kevin bought me a cow. So I don't have to go to Trader Joe's.
Well,
anymore.
I could have a cow here, actually, but I don't think I have the right fencing or the right mindset to be milking that cow every day.
Well, once we get your garden design going, maybe we'll incorporate a cow fence. We'll figure something out. It'll be great.
Yeah. So, are you ready for DTT Defines? So today it's a Bobeche. Now, do you know what a Bobeche is?
No, I don't.
Okay.
A Moulin Rouge dancer? I don't know.
Well, when I describe it, you probably have it in your house. It is a French term for a semi-flat collar used for catching wax at the base of a candle, in a candlestick or a chandelier. Now, do you have any Bobeches in your house?
Chandeliers, for sure, I think, but they're not candle chandeliers.
They're not real ones. Okay, yeah. Got it. So they're often made of glass, crystal, or brass, and they're usually removable to allow for cleaning. And the earliest chandeliers, which appeared in medieval times, were actually, well, they weren't chandeliers. They were actually candle holders, I would say. Mm-hmm. But they were wooden crosses, and they had spikes on there. And I hate to say it, but they kind of impaled, the candles on the spikes. I mean, that's the way some candle holders are. And that would hold it in place. But then they found that the wax was just dripping all over the floor. So they created a Bobeche that caught that wax at the base of the candle. And then by the 18th century, they became much more ornate and made of glass or crystal. And they became part of the decorative look of the chandelier or the candlestick. See if you can work that into conversation today.
That might not come up soon, but I'm going to try to remember how to say it.
Okay.
My crush is something that it's not it's kind of all the things. It could be a thing. I mean, it is. You have to have a thing to do it. And it's a concept, and could turn out to be a keepsake. So it's kind of a lot of things. So I don't know if any of you listening, when you're reading something, or now when we're listening to audiobooks or podcasts or anything really, if you are struck by something that someone has said and you want to jot it down. That happens to me a lot, particularly when I'm reading a book. So maybe it's the English major in me or the law student or whatever. I kind of, in a sense, annotate a lot of the books that I really like. Not a beach read, but I don't really read beach reads. But like if I was, I probably wouldn't be doing that. But books that have a little bit more depth to them, sometimes there's some things that you really want to highlight or remember. And so I will either pencil underline or highlight, or in a pinch, just dog ear the page and hope I can find the particular words. So I was listening to a podcast, and it was about from the New York Times book review. And they mentioned this term, a commonplace book. Have you ever heard of that, Anita?
No, what is that?
Okay. So a commonplace book has the concept of it has been around since antiquity. And it's the commonplace is one word when you refer to this. So a commonplace book, I'm going to give you, I guess, probably the AI definition. A commonplace book is a personalized collection of ideas, quotes, and other information organized for future use. It's a reading method and book form that involves extracting and recording notable passages from books into a notebook. Commonplace books have been kept since antiquity, but were especially popular during the Renaissance and 19th century. They can be similar to a scrapbook or journal, but are more like a database. People like Thomas Jefferson, all kinds of people have had commonplace books. So I went to the local Romans bookstore with my daughters. I think it was right before or right after Christmas, and we were shopping around. Oh, it was right after Christmas. And I saw this beautiful journal. It's slim, kind of not too big. And that I decided that was going to be my commonplace book. So before the shit completely hit the fan here, let's just be clear, my goal was to go back through some of my favorite books and pull out things that I had highlighted or dog-eared and start jotting them down. I mean, I'm not going to go through every book I've ever read, but as I come across books on my bookshelf that I know I really enjoyed, and I'm going to go see if there was some, what was in there that I really wanted to take out. And so I've started one. You don't have the words for it, something, but somebody else did, or kind of words of wisdom, or just advice, or I guess it could be super practical, depending on, your personality. And obviously what you're reading.
I love that. If there's some sort of term that you see, because when I'm reading, I'll see a word or a term and I'll think, I really like that. I want to work that into conversation. And I'm still, 10 years later, still trying to work in enchanté when I meet somebody, but it always sounds so dorky here in Texas, so I never actually use it. But I'm thinking it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I just that Dire Straits song. With the lyrics, enchanté, see you later, my friend, just came to my mind. I'm going to have to listen to that after this.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, try it, think about it. I mean, you probably have, maybe someone gave you a journal. Sometimes you get those things and you're like, oh yeah, that'd be nice. But this is something where you don't have to do it every day. You do it whenever you come across something, and just keep it accessible.
Well, I have a crush, and I'm going to share a funny, too, because you just reminded me of it.
I need a funny. Give me another funny.
It is a funny. I will link to it, but it is a YouTube video. It's the TNT Boys. They were on, one of those Star Search or one of those audition shows. I don't know what it was, but it's these young boys, and they were singing the Bee Gees, and they had them dressed like them. They sounded just like them, and they were doing their mannerisms, and they had the wigs on, the facial hair. It was so cute and funny, and their voices were amazing. So wow. I'm going to link to that. It was a real fun listen. They have beautiful voices, but it was just funny the way they had dressed them to sing the song. So that was fun. But my crush is a fun decor book. It was on my wish list for Christmas, and I got it. Yay. It's called New English Interiors at Home with Today's Creatives by Elizabeth Metcalf. And it is lovely. I guess it's a little bit different than what I've seen in the past, in that this is not, sometimes these English country books, decorating books, have so much stuff in them, they feel kind of cluttered, some of the older ones. So this one, the rooms did not feel so cluttered, but there was a lot of pattern on pattern, a lot of color on color. So very much in the tradition of English country, but maybe a little scaled back. It's beautiful, and I think you'll enjoy it. So that was a beautiful read, and I think you should check it out.
Well, thank you. I will. I love that look. And And yeah, you're right. Some of the older ones feel like, oh, yes, if I lived in the Cotswolds, bam, I'd do this. But, I don't. And especially with you now, as you mentioned, wanting to incorporate a little bit more English country in with your Frenchie, I'm sure that it's a great resource for you.
I think it will be.
Well, again, I want to thank all of you, as I did in the beginning, for your care and your kindness and sending thoughts and prayers for California, Los Angeles in particular, Altadena, the Palisades. The fires are much more under control as I talk to you today, but the winds are supposed to kick in tonight. So let's all just continue those thoughts and prayers that the winds are nothing like they were on Tuesday. Thanks for this time, too. This really was good for me. I really enjoyed talking with you, Anita, and talking to all our friends here at DTT. So, as always, thanks so much for hanging out with us. And remember, we are here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult. We can't wait to talk to you.